Welcome to Wrestling with Egos, not Golfing with Egos, although I have to be honest, I'd much rather be golfing with Egos because that means right now, here at 9:30 p.m. on Friday, August 14th, I'd be asleep right now. It's one of those, Patrick needs a nappy. And by that, I mean, I need to go to bed. It's been a long day, cats and kittens. Hello, all you cool cats and kittens out there. It's Patrick from Wild Animal Rescue. God, I just went there. Anyway, so glad you could join us this week. The poor guy face palming right there is my best friend Brian. RJ could not join us this week for scheduling conflicts, mainly because he didn't want to make either one of us feel bad over the fact that at Golfing with Egos, he kicked the crap out of us. You'll see that later because more than likely this show is going to be posted before Golfing with Egos because RJ's having issues creating the whole file and getting that uploaded. So,
but he is hard at work on it. He is diligently putting the nose to the grindstone.
Very. And when you guys see it, you're going to love it. You're going to laugh your butts off because we had an amazing time last Saturday at Highland Hills Golf Club in Cleveland, Ohio. Yeah, fun to be had. Comic relief in its finest. And I'm very glad to say that all four of us, because RJ's son Logan joined us as well, none of us were afraid to make fun of ourselves.
Well, that was marginally, but I joined in by the end too. So
you realized that you were just completely just turning your golf game into a dumpster fire by being a grumpy Gus, and then you shanked that tee shot onto the seventh green. By the way, boys and girls, we were on 8.
No, it was the 12th hole, and that was the 17th green. The point being, shouldn't have been over there, and yet here I was.
Yeah, but you know what? You hit the green and won. Anyway.
But I reveled it.
We got some stuff to talk about this week. Obviously, getting kind of back into the swing of things because the studio has now been rebuilt, bigger, stronger, faster, and with, certain enhancements. We'll leave it that way. The studio can either be male or female, and you can, Anyway, moving right along. Brian, there's a line there, and I always have to get just a little bit over it every time. Why?
Getting back into the swing of things. We have some things to talk about, and here we go.
Hey, habitual line stepper. Yes. So anyway, so much going on that we've missed. We're not going to try and backtrack all that because this is going to be a short show, not a long show. But let's start just kind of blanket statement. AEW, main roster, NXT. We'll break them down to those 3 entities. What do you like? What do you not like?
Here's what I like about...
Let's start with the one that we'll probably be most negative about. Let's start with the main roster.
I like what they're doing with, and I can say this about all 3 of them. I get that what we're seeing is a byproduct of only having a number of people to be available to work with. Right. Certain people aren't there because of travel restrictions. Certain people aren't there because of illnesses that we may or may not be aware of. Certain people are not there because whatever the case may be. So it's a case of if I'm in charge of a brand, I look around at who's and I say, okay, I've got these 17 people in my locker room right now. I've got to utilize them somehow. I will give all 3 brands credit for giving some shine to some people that you wouldn't normally see. Like I've been catching up in my AEW program in the last several nights, and I've noticed a lot of newer faces that I haven't seen before, like the current women's champion, Hiroka Shida, for example. Hadn't even heard of her until like 2 months ago,
Awesome.
But as RJ so eloquently laid out last week when we were on the course, you go with what you have because certain people aren't there. It's some of it's going to work, some of it's not going to work. I like what they're doing with Retribution, but what I'm careful about with that is I want a payoff. Like you can't just you can't come in like a house on fire like Nexus did way back in the day, and then it shrivels and collapses under its own weight because of bad booking decisions.
Or John Cena wanted to put himself over.
True, but my point being, like you invest all of that energy in a faction making a splash like that, where they're ripping apart the ring and they're running off the announcers and this, that, and the other thing.
Right.
You want it to mean something.
Right.
The people behind the masks better have legitimate beef, and are going to bring some authority figure to task for all of the sins that they've been committed against them. That's what I would hope you'd want to see.
Yeah.
Out of so I will commend all of them for taking what they have and leveraging it to provide us with some entertainment each week.
Apparently tonight on SmackDown, Retribution showed up during the John Morrison and Big E match, and there were more of them, like a lot more. So let me address Retribution real quick, because that is something I absolutely despise right now. And sorry, I have something in my eye and it's bothering me. I apologize.
It's called an eyeball. Yeah, man.
Nice one. Anyway, I hate it. I hate Retribution. I hate it. I think it's stupid, and here's why. If you are going to go mob mentality in professional wrestling, I don't care if it's Nexus, I don't care if it's the NWO, whatever large group you want to go with. By large group, I mean 4 people or more. So, Evolution, Horseman, DX, the list goes on and on and on. If you're going to cause that much mass chaos, let's look back at the last couple of episodes of Raw and SmackDown. Flipping over tables, flipping over a car. Listen, go back and watch that and listen to these men and women under the masks. Woohoo! Woo! Woo! They're acting like it is a freaking sorority fraternity mixer. They're it's millennial and old man warning in 3, 2, 1. It's like millennials just, or sorry, millennials is terrible. Bunch of 20-year-old kids just going, party, party. Now to put an old man spin on it, it's like Animal House. Toga, toga.
Yeah.
It's this, they're having fun with it. And it would be one thing if they were all crazy and it was kind of a purge angle kind of thing where they were all enjoying the chaos and the terror. But that was one night. Everything else has been, this is our house now.
Yeah.
And it's come off as whiny. Here's my thing. Retribution should come off as just vile and venom and just everything wrong with wrestling. I.e., do exactly what the freaking Nexus did. What they did on that night when it was Cena and Punk in the ring?
Yes.
Cena and Punk in the ring. All hell breaks loose. They beat the crap out of Cena. Daniel Bryan gets fired because he chokes Justin Roberts with his tie. All of that. Perfect. Why? 1, who the hell are these guys? Number 2, why the hell are they beating up Cena? 3, why are they destroying everything? And to me, it looks like they're spitting on professional wrestling itself.
And why are they running off Punk and Gallows and Serena too? They didn't. It's not like we're heel face. They ran off everybody.
Right.
Punk left a vapor trail.
Right, but they beat the crap out of Cena.
Yes.
But it was built on disrespect.
Yeah.
This is just built on coin flip chaos. And I don't like it because right now, I, in any kind of angle, in my opinion at least, when you get started, damn it, you better have a direction and you better be able to convey to your audience, yeah, we're going this way.
An angle like this, you can't play the long game on. You and I are big fans of the long game in certain, like the
Dude,
Kofi.
you can totally play the long game with this. But the thing is, they're trying to play the long game in a very rudderless manner. Yeah. Okay, so let me give you an example of the long game, and there was a lot of mystery to it, but you could still tell where they were going. 3 words: Firefly Fun House. Oh my God. Go back and watch this show a year ago. Oh my God. What the hell is all of this? What is this? I don't, I'm being Brian for a second. I don't really understand this. Me going, no, 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 no. Trust me. This is going to be awesome. I promise you.
Yes, you were right.
I might have been right on that one. Because.
Or how about this? This could be a way to play the long game too. You want to have a faction called Retribution? Fine. The first week, you start out with one of them. Just one person, one lone wolf, kind of like, and then he's by himself and he gets run off because it's easy to run off one guy. But then after like maybe 3 weeks of a single person, now you bring a friend along with you, somebody else and then maybe after about 2 months, now it's plausible that you would have 7 or 8 or 9 people.
You mean to tell me that maybe they should steal a page out of the NWO?
I wouldn't let it. Yeah, and it seems like everybody's trying to recreate the NWO, but I wouldn't let it get that bloated though.
Hang on, but what you're talking about doing in terms of like introducing Retribution,
I see. Yes,
you are talking about exactly what WCW did introducing the NWO. Because
for a little refresher, at first it was just Scott Hall coming down through the crowd.
3 weeks, and on the 4th week, Scott Hall shows up at the announce table. Bischoff's in his face, and then Nash shows up, walks up behind Bischoff.
Big Kev.
And they do that for about another month and a half, and then Bash at the Beach happens, and
right,
the entire wrestling world was changed forever.
I mean, and let's say, there's been theories spinning around about who's in charge. Let's say it is Tommaso Ciampa under one of the masks. Let's just say that. It would be a lot more effective for me if because Ciampa could pull off the vigilante for a couple of weeks.
Oh, yeah.
And then he could go recruiting. He could go back to his boys, his people that he feels have not been given the fair shake. And, obviously you think about Gargano. Obviously you think about Candice LeRae. Obviously think about any of these people that we've been speculating are under these masks. It would have a lot more weight with me if you didn't start with like 7 people and then have 12 people the next week. It would have a lot more weight and become a bigger problem. Like for me as an established roster star.
Right.
Wait a minute, there were 2 of you last week. Now there's 4 of you. You keep interrupting my matches. I have a problem with this. What did I ever do to you? That kind of thing. And then it would be a confliction of emotion.
Not just that. Okay, there's 2 of you. Well, I brought backup. Crap. Now there's 4 of you. Well, I brought more backup. Now there's 12 of you. Crap.
Yeah.
The escalation. Because right now, Retribution. Now, Brian, I know you're not a sci-fi guy, so you may have to just go with me on this one.
I usually do.
This is the big mega fight from the second Matrix movie, where it's Keanu Reeves and about 500 Hugo Weavings.
I remember that.
It's Neo and Agent Smith coming out of every nook and cranny in that playground. And that basketball court, just like, what? What is all of this? Where did all of these guys come from? But the thing is, there was no build.
My
Now,
mind's playing tricks on me.
in the movie, it worked because it now creates this sense of overwhelming anxiety. But in this, it creates an overwhelming feeling of, huh?
Really?
Huh?
Really? What is something that's been happening that you really like from any of them?
And I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it that RJ's not here because I so wanted to just hammer him with this one in a good way. Raw Underground. I love it. And here's why. And I would flat it, and I was hoping RJ would be here and kind of hoping to bait him and going, nah, didn't really like it. How could you not? It's WWE embracing strong style. Every person that they have highlighted on Raw Underground. Let's look at the people that they've highlighted on Raw Underground by name. Shelton Benjamin, you know, NCAA wrestler, Division One All-American, former training partner of Brock Lesnar. That's all legit. In his prime, the single best pure athlete of any wrestler on the planet. Bottom line, cut, print, kill the pig. 2, Bobby Lashley, another, I believe, NAIA national champion,
Yes.
wrestled in the armed forces, um, MMA background. I believe he had an MMA record of 8-1 before he went back to wrestling, something like that. But and he was in Strikeforce, and he was in Bellator. But look, and he smashed some legit guys. Arturo Huas, who you saw in NXT, Arturo Huas not only has a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu from the Nogueira brothers, but is also a master of capoeira, which is like Brazilian kung fu. They highlighted him, and he just didn't just take down and boom, 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 boom. He did his, capoeira. It's
Yeah.
like a dance, but it'll kick the living crap out of you. MVP, who has a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, in his time out of when he left WWE and was working in other promotions, he started studying Gracie Jiu-Jitsu down in Texas with whichever Gracie brothers down there. There's only like 500 of them. And finally, Shayna Mother Bleepin' Baszler. I don't think I need to run down her credentials. She kind of runs with Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
Had a 15-11 MMA record. She's beaten some pretty formidable names. She's lost to some ginormous names in the history of women's MMA. And those are the vast majority of her losses. Women like Amanda Nunes, who is easily right now, being the fact that she has both of UFC's championship belts, the baddest woman on the planet.
She's a bad mamma jamma.
Good God, she's terrifying. She knocked Ronda Rousey out in less than a minute. And she's the one that sent Ronda Rousey to WWE.
I think what's happened with Underground is, Shane came up with this idea. I'm just going to sit down maybe, and I'm going to look at the roster, and I'm going to look at all the people that I think deserve some run.
I'm going to look at the roster, and I'm going to find every BMF we have.
Yeah.
And go, all right, have fun. It's look at the way they're making contact. It's half shoot, it's half work. Guess what, boys and girls? That's Japanese strong style. That it. Hey, them kicks, them knee strikes, those throws, that ain't ballet. That crap hurts.
Here's a question for you then.
Yes.
If it's strong style, let's say down the road a piece, they take the tag belts off of Cesaro and Shinsuke. Does Shinsuke find his way onto Underground?
Oh, please, God.
Because
Oh, first off, the way Cesaro works, put his ass in there too.
sure, fine. I mean, because that he's one of those when we always talk about who's underutilized or who hasn't been properly given. Cesaro could have been, you know, like I look at him all the time as a
Cesaro,
guy that they've totally used the wrong way.
Cesaro in my book would have already been, if I was booking, it would have already been a multi-time WWE champ.
Of course.
Good. And I would have taken, and he would have won it shortly after WrestleMania 30 when he body slammed Big Show over the top rope to win the Battle Royal.
That would be
Good.
the time to do it. Something else that's going on that I like a whole lot, because I've been catching up on AEW, there's been a guy who's been doing an awful lot of commentary on AEW lately, and he's doing a bang up job of it, and that would be Le Champion.
First off, let me just put my 2 cents in on this one. You put Chris Jericho in front of a live mic.
Yeah, and magic happens.
It writes itself. Chris
Oh, by
Jericho.
the way, happy Canada Day.
Yeah, I know. Oh my.
All throughout Fighter Fest. Happy Canada Day.
And he never ceases to amaze me at just how good his timing is. Either as a face or a heel, it doesn't matter. His timing has always been just next level. And we're talking going all the way back to WCW when I first got on the Chris Jericho train, and my mom hated him because he had the top ponytail and she always called him. She hated Jericho. But Jesus. You know what else I'm really digging on AEW? This guy.
That was the other thing, because during the first night of Fighter Fest, Orange Cassidy came out and sat at the announce position in his typical Orange Cassidy way, and Jericho was doing all the work, obviously, because that was the precursor to that, and Cassidy's just sitting there.
Yeah.
And I mean, I just you think a character that can have nuance, but there's tons of nuance.
And he shouldn't. He shouldn't. It should be a joke character. I hate to even bring this character up because I thought it was just so bad. But he should have the nuance of Eugene.
Or the nuance of Lance Storm,
No, but Lance Armstrong. Good Lord. Lance Storm's nuance was in what that man could do in the ring.
Yes.
So, when he's like, if I could be serious for a moment, it's a simple fact that he has a monotone voice and definitely not a monotone game. But Orange Cassidy should be just lumped into that comedy box. Santino and No Way Jose and Adam Rose and those kind of guys.
But he's found a way to transcend it.
Yeah, and you brought it up plenty of times. You brought it up on Golfing with Egos. You brought it up on the show before, how he lulls you to sleep and then just bam.
Right, because I've said it before. The tropes of wrestling, we've talked about this before. It's awfully hard to find new ground.
Oh God, yeah.
In this industry, you're the jock, or you're the ladies' man, or you're the brute force and all that kind of stuff. There's not a lot of room left for a totally new
archetype.
Right, but yet here we are, and that's why
I use that to help you out.
Nice. That's why I'm telling you right now, at the end of the year, when we give out the second annual Ego Awards, Orange Cassidy is on my list for Male Wrestler of the Year.
Oh God, yeah. If not wrestler, performer.
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord. And his match last week his match on Wednesday with Jericho
Haven't
was
seen it yet. Don't ruin it for me.
it was great. It was great. I think you can probably figure out how it ended.
I'll be surprised. I'll probably queue it up this weekend and watch it
It
because
it was solid.
I'm
It
into the build for it right now. I know that there's a $7,000 jacket dry
yes,
cleaning bill involved.
yes. And they mentioned, and for the record, you can play a drinking game to how many times they mentioned that.
Oh boy,
Oh yeah, it's like. Hey, by the way, did you know Cody Rhodes cannot challenge for the AEW World Championship?
I'm very sorry to hear that. It's
Speaking of the AEW World Championship, something else I love, and I can't believe it, but say this: MJF. Good God. As someone who loves heels and can appreciate catchphrase on this show, Heel 401, I cannot tell you the last time I wanted to reach through the TV and slap the shit out of a heel because he was pissing me off. You know, there's pissing me off like, oh God, this is so stupid. You're not good at this. Stop. You're boring me.
and then there's MGF
And then there's MJF who
with his pink moo.
MJF can work me. And I'm just like, wait a minute.
That's how you know, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, that's how you know this kid's good because he's pissing me off. And I'm usually just like, yeah, cheap heat for me. If it's good cheap heat, it makes me laugh. Because it's just like, oh, nice. Like one of my favorite ones ever. It was at a Halloween Havoc. DDP had turned heel and he was cutting a promo in the ring at a pay-per-view, which was so WCW. Um, and the fans in the MGM Grand are chanting, "You suck, you suck, you suck." I can't possibly suck. I'm not from Las Vegas. Cheap heat, like Elias making fun of your sports team
Right.
during his songs, especially like in Seattle, Washington. That's cheap heat. And when it's done, I'm just like, hey, nice, nice. His cheap heat makes me want to kill him. I'm just like, oh my God, I I hate this guy. Oh my God. I I would want to pay money. I don't want to pay. I don't just want to pay money to see him get his ass whipped. I want to pay money to be able to go there and throw something at him. I mean, it is nuclear heat what he's putting together, and I am here for it. And I'll tell you right now, and I said this last week. You haven't seen it on golf. Haven't seen Golfing with Egos yet. I said this last week. I'll double down on it this week. If Jon Moxley retains at All Out against MJF, I'm done with AEW. This is, in my opinion, the biggest slam dunk of them all. And then you give MJF this long ass, just dirtier than dirt title reign, and then let somebody loved in the company take the title off them. Sadly enough, they'll probably find a way to make it Cody.
Even though he can't ever
Hell,
challenge for the.
loophole. Loophole. They
I
will
know
find,
who it should be.
huh?
It shouldn't be Cody.
Oh, it should be Cassidy
No,
or Darby Allin.
it should be Darby Allin.
Good God, Darby Allin. I can't,
I say Cassidy's probably a year away from having a reign of some kind
yeah.
because you have to reward him because of the work he's doing at some point with a title reign,
Agreed.
but not just yet.
Agreed. What are some stuff you hate?
I hate when any of them resort to parlor tricks. the Fireball with Keith Lee and Karrion Kross, because it comes off as, ham-fisted, and it didn't work when they did it with the Undertaker back in the '90s, and it you don't.
First off, Taker screwed that one up. Hogan screwed it up at Halloween Havoc. Dude, the Fireball used to be like deep South, dirty tactics. It the Fireball was to the Southern wrestling scene what the Green Mist was to Japan. It was just dirty tactics. You were on that boat all by yourself there, big man.
That's fine. That means there's more catering for me on this boat. It's
Ham sandwich. That's all you get.
We have a nice spread, over here, and
yeah. Pickled pig's feet and.
No, we have 3 flavors of combos over here. They cheese your hunger away.
You got what?
3 flavors of combos over here. They cheese your hunger away.
Which flavors?
Pizzeria pretzel.
Never mind, you got the good one. I was gonna wait till you rattle all 3 off and go, nope, doesn't count. You don't have pizzeria pretzel.
Buffalo wing.
I never had that one.
You need to. And then good old nacho cheese, the regular nacho cheese flavor. We got the spread.
Pizzeria pretzel. That's all you need. That is all you need. Anyway, something else I hate and I love. Love-hate relationship with the AEW Women's Tag Team Tournament, the Deadly Draw. Because as I said last week on Golfing with Egos, because AEW can't do anything except rip off Dusty Rhodes' old ideas. Hashtag Battle Bowl Lethal Lottery. I'm really starting to get annoyed. Not only with this tournament, not only with the fact that you knew that Brandy and Allie were going to make the finals. I'm getting really bored with the Dark Order. All of a sudden, it has taken this really lame-ass turn. However, who is this Anna Jay lady? She's teaming with Tay Conti in the tournament. She's with Dark Order. How you do it?
You'll have to forgive my ignorance on this one. I have not seen. I'm not that caught up yet. So
watch that one on YouTube. How you doing?
Nice to see you.
Being the fact that Alexa dumped me for Brian Cabrera, I'm looking and NXT UK hadn't been around in God knows how long, so I don't have Isla Dawn to look at either. I'm searching for a new wrestling crush. Just a wrestling crush. My wife's more awesome. But
Casey Catanzaro is available. Never mind. You kind of curled your lip up. Never mind.
No, she's not. She did Ricochet.
I just thought you wanted to crush on her.
Another thing.
Moving right along.
I couldn't necessarily have a crush on Casey for one simple reason. The shape that woman is in is terrifyingly intimidating.
This is true.
She's tiny and she's super athletic, but I've seen her run that obstacle course. Kind of like dating a girl. Obviously, pretend I'm not married for a second. It'd be like trying to date a girl who can outdrive you in golf. I don't know if I'd be able to do that. Actually,
I'm going to save you from yourself right now, and I'm going to jump in with I want to give some time.
I'll pull this out.
Okay, good. I want to give some shine before we get into bar talk tonight. There are 2 people. This is the last thing that I like. There are 2 people right now in WWE on the main roster who I think are on the ride of their lives right now.
Wait. I'm gonna say Leon Ruff, and Robert Stone.
The Robert Stone brand is looking to add some. Anyway, no, you're wrong on both counts.
I figured.
First of all, my girl Bailey has passed the 300-day mark as your SmackDown Women's Champion, and he's or she, excuse me, is one of Vince is on record as saying that she's one of yeah.
And for the record, last week, right here on Golfing with Egos, we determined that Bailey is in fact a Karen. She's no longer a bitch. She's no longer a brat. Bailey has evolved
Right.
in full blown Karen.
But what I will give her credit for is she turned heel last year, and I was freaking out about it on this show. And as I recall, you and RJ were a little reticent, like, yeah, okay, we knew it needed to happen. Let's see where she goes with it. Because,
Yeah.
the heel, you like the heel turn. You
Yes.
wanted to see what they would do with it.
I like the heel turn because I believe about a month before she did that, I said on this show she needs to do exactly that, and you guys chastised me for like, dude, that's a little dark.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, but it would get a point across. I'll be danged if she didn't do it.
But she's taken that ball and she's ran with it. So I want to give her props. And the other person I want to give props to is Mr. Randy Orton. Because this guy, you look up the phrase taking lemons and making lemonade in the dictionary.
Yeah.
Randy's 2020 is the definition of taking lemons and making lemonade. He had no idea that the circumstances would be what the circumstances are, and he has taken this situation that we have. And we talked about how great Edge has been with no fans in attendance when he's been around to cut a promo. Randy's been just as good.
Yeah.
And the stakes just keep getting raised with him, and just when you think, okay, he can't sink to any more depths, he takes out Nate last week as the last kind of obstacle to McIntyre at SummerSlam. I think the reward for that, I know we said we wanted to see a long run for McIntyre with the championship.
Not anymore.
I think the reward for this is Randy getting the win and beating McIntyre.
It wouldn't surprise me. Something else though, maybe, because here's what I would do. If I had the pencil. First thing I would be doing is I would be monitoring a certain rehab process going down in the mountains of North Carolina, with that guy, my dude. If he's close to getting the green light, then yeah, put the title on Orton now. If we gotta wait just a little bit, then hold off.
Okay, that makes sense.
If Edge isn't coming back at all, then F it, put the title on it.
Because as soon as you said, hold on, if I had the pencil, I kind of figured you might want to fold Edge into this somehow, either with a run-in or a pre-tape promo or something. And
no. Edge being back in WWE, his story, however long he's in, I think it's a 2 or 3 year contract. However long he's around, knowing full well that he wants to work with guys like AJ and Roman. Because you got to have Roman and Edge before this thing's all over and done with. Freaking duh. But at some point, Edge has got to pick up number 11.
Yes.
Or, no, number 12. He's an 11-time champ. He's got to pick up number 12. At some point. You cannot create the feel good moment of 2020 in wrestling and not reward that down the line.
Right.
Truth be told, I honestly think if Edge were still injured, if Edge weren't injured, we would not be talking about McIntyre and Orton right now. We would be talking about McIntyre and Edge, and McIntyre would be very close to dropping that belt.
Agreed.
But I agree with you wholeheartedly. Randy Orton is having his second true renaissance. And he's going back to that first renaissance and recapturing that magic. And that's not the legend killer. That's that psychotic, I hear voices, Randy Orton.
IED.
Huh?
IED.
Yeah, or what the acronym that I prefer to use in describing that is DDT, as in when he DDT'd Stephanie while Triple H was handcuffed to the ropes and then kissed her. Creepy, cringy AF.
Yeah.
But damn, that was awesome. I'm like, it's kind of like watching a movie and seeing the bad guy do something and go, oh, you are so gonna die. It was same thing with taking out Nate and giving Nate the punt. How do you do that to bleeping Ric Flair?
Yeah.
How do you do that to God? Let's be honest. If God were a pro wrestler, he would have been Ric Flair, except without the debauchery.
Well, I can see by the clock on the wall it's about to be that last call time. So what I figure we would do is wind it up with a little bit of bar talk. And tonight we're going to take a look at what could have been. A really juicy topic for you to sink your teeth into.
Very much so. Now, obviously, we would love to hear from you guys on this. You can hit any of the three of us up on Twitter. You guys are seeing all of our socials right now. As well as the email address and the Google repository. We don't mention them on show anymore because we just put them down there and say, hey, there's the stuff.
You already know what it is.
Exactly. If you've been watching this show, and there's 37 subscribers that do. So, hey, thanks to you, all 37 of you guys. We love you. What might have been? Not like, oh, well, if this wouldn't have happened, like if Goldberg wouldn't have concussed Brett, or if Foley wouldn't have gone off the cell, or God forbid, if Owen hadn't died. We're not talking about that. We're talking about missed opportunities. What if they did this instead? So the first one I will go with, and I think this ends up negatively. The original idea for the NWO, for Bash at the Beach, the third man was supposed to be Sting. And Sting didn't want to do it. So they went to Hogan, and Hogan was like, yeah, okay. So,
why do you think it would have been a negative? Do you think Sting didn't have it in him to really be a bad guy like that? Or
hell no. Sting is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. Of my all-time favorite wrestlers, he is in my top three. I have to try and figure out my three favorite wrestlers of all time, in no particular order: Sting, Taker, Edge. There is no way in blackest hell Steve Borden could pull heel. No way. It's like trying to buy Steve Austin as a heel, siding with Vince McMahon after he's dropped him with 150 stunners. Nobody would have bought it. That thing. Okay, that was Bash at the Beach in July. By Fall Brawl, which was the next freaking pay-per-view, nobody would have bought that crap. It would have gone over like a flying. It would have gone over like a balloon filled with fart air. There's an analogy.
Yeah.
But they almost went there, and I'll go ahead and tell you right now, WCW would have been dead the next year. WCW would not have survived much longer because WWE would have. But also keep in mind, without the NWO, let's be honest, if Sting is the third man, we may not have wrestling because because look back at WWE before the NWO when that's really when the Attitude Era happened. WWE sucked ass too.
Yeah.
My God in heaven, we made the biggest company in the entire country right now might be Impact.
Yeah. One that comes to mind for me is what if Finn Balor had never left NXT? Because I feel like he's been trying to pick up the pieces since he got hurt and been miscast all those times. And, he rehabbed and he came back, and now he's back in NXT and he's playing the long game. And we've all said that we like it because he's, picking people to take on it. It looks like it's going to be him and Dream next week, which, yes, take my money.
Up and take money.
But I wonder if he had the mindset that apparently Tommaso Ciampa has, where, I don't want to be on the main roster. I like what I'm doing down here. I like the storylines. I like the writing. I like the fan base. I like all of it. I want to stay here. No disrespect. I wonder, are we talking about Finn as one of these legacy guys in NXT?
NXT wasn't there yet. NXT wasn't the third brand at that point. So I don't think that's possible for Finn to stay in NXT. I will see yours and raise you. What if Finn doesn't injure his shoulder at SummerSlam when he became the inaugural Universal Champion?
I was so crushed the next night.
Oh, me too. That was one of the most heartbreaking.
It didn't even dawn on me that he hurt himself, but was it somebody like picked up on like, geez, I think he hurt himself. Was it you? Yeah.
I'm like, when he took that buckle bomb, his shoulder, because I was pointing out, I remember specifically because one of the very few times at our pay-per-view gatherings at your house, I'm sitting on the couch, and I remember putting my shoulder because I think you were actually on my right, and you made the joke about me trying to put my arm around you.
Yeah.
And it was like his arm hit here, and he fell. I think he's effed up. And then after he won, and he picked, he wouldn't move that right shoulder.
He couldn't.
I think it was the right one, right?
Yes.
Yeah. We, more and more of us picked up on it. What if he didn't get hurt that night? Think about all the things they could have done with the Demon.
Because I remember watching the 365 on the network about that and how just crushed he was.
Oh, yeah.
Going through the rehab process. And he alluded to the fact that, I know they had all kinds of plans for me. And this, that, and the other thing. And
he had a rocket super glued to his back.
I mean, obviously you do a little program with Seth because you took the title off him. Seth's going to want a rematch.
Off him, and that was a new title.
Oh, that's right. But Seth's going to want, a second chance at it. But then after you dispose of Seth, line him up. Let's go. Right. Seth or Finn and Shinsuke, Finn and Samoa Joe, Finn and
Huh?
Finn
and Owens.
Yes.
Remember, Owens was the one that won the title after Finn's injury.
Right.
I mean, my Lord, you could have had a program with Finn and Owens. I mean, also keep in mind back at that point, Big Cass was still a huge thing. Finn and Roman.
Yep.
So, I mean, there were so many things they could have done and so many ways to incorporate the Demon. that one to me is probably the biggest what might have been in WWE in the last 10 years. I got one more, and it's not WWE. It's actually TNA.
Okay.
What if they would have given James Storm the ball? James Storm, in my opinion, is one of the most underutilized, underappreciated talents in the last 15 years in wrestling. I love the Cowboy. Everything about him, from his look to his moveset to the way he cuts promos to his catchphrase, everything about him. If I had the pencil, this dude is my vigilante for hire. It's like if John Wayne and Wyatt Earp had a clone, donated DNA to create one entity, and that dude became a pro wrestler. That's what James Storm would have been for me. You know, just the Punisher with a cowboy hat. And sorry about your damn luck. He could be funny. He could want to whoop your ass. He could be charming. He could be dastardly. He could do everything. And TNA just kept screwing the pooch on that one. Oh my God. What somebody with a brain could have done with Cowboy James Storm. Damn.
My last one is going to surprise you, because the last several weeks, the wrestling content that I consume on YouTube, they've been doing a deep dive on somebody very near and dear to my heart.
Diamond Dave.
No. And the more I learn about this time period, the more I realize what a mistake it was. And I get why they did it. But what if when The Rock came back in 2011, did he not take aim at Cena in the championship? What if he had just come back to say, okay, I'm going to put some people over that need to be put over? I'm going to work with, and maybe that's not in The Rock's, or maybe it's Vince coming up with all the ideas and saying, no, we're going to give you the title and we're going to, but I begin to realize that him coming back and him being put in the programs he was put into affected an awful lot of people. It affected Daniel Bryan. It affected CM Punk. It affected The Miz. It affected a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like you shoehorn him into that spot, and all these other people got to get pushed to the side because Rock's going to work with Cena twice in a lifetime. It made for a dud of a WrestleMania 27, except for the Triple H Undertaker match. 28, the match itself with Cena and Rock was great. 29 was but that's because Rock hurt himself and all that.
Got hurt, yeah.
So, but the more, and I will freely admit, when he came back and he was doing all those things and he was winning the title, I was loving it. Yeah. But I couldn't see the forest for the trees at that point. I didn't realize that, yes, Rock's getting this moment, but at the expense of all these other people who we have since championed as guys that can make the business go further than it ever had before.
Right. No offense, dude. That's what I was saying when it happened.
And I couldn't see it at the time because I just, couldn't get out of my own way.
He's your dude.
Yeah.
Don't blame you for that one. But yeah, I mean, you could have done a lot with that. You could have had, Cena's the champ, but you could have inserted Rock into the title picture, but had Punk go over Rock to get to Cena. Kind of, okay, like Cena's got the title. Who do we want to take the title from Cena? Insert name here. Well, Rock's the gatekeeper. They got to get through the Rock to get to Cena. When they get to Cena, they'll get the title. But we'll use the Rock as the gatekeeper. And then once the title's off Cena, then we'll put those guys together and let them have that dream match that we all want.
Yeah.
I've always, and I've said this to you 1.5 million times. I've always had a problem with giving part timers championships because they're not reliable. They're not
Right.
there to enhance product, enhance talent. They're there to enhance themselves. Lesnar, Cena, Rock, the
Goldberg.
oh good God, do not invoke his name.
So
We
we're talking part timers. So
We are slowly starting to develop a list of names not to be mentioned on this show.
okay,
I think we are now up to three.
yeah, 3 or 4.
A certain guy with a tennis racket,
Yeah,
a certain guy that writes a
certain guy
new,
with a unibrow,
huh?
unibrow and a beard. Bro.
Oh, yeah. Well, I hadn't gotten to him yet. A certain guy that writes a newsletter that gives matches that happen in the Tokyo 95 stars.
Yeah.
Um, a bro with a unibrow and a beard that hates the guy with the tennis racket, and the guy that was so terrible at his job that he concussed Bret Hart and damn near killed him, and also damn near killed The Undertaker.
Yep.
So, congratulations, Bill.
You know what happens when you suck at wrestling?
Go there.
I'll tell you what happens. It's a list of stupid idiots, and all of you are on it.
Yes. All right. Well, time to get out of here. Time to go to bed. Before we get out of here, Bubba, any final thoughts?
No, but SummerSlam and NXT TakeOver 30 are coming up, so let's get ready for those.
Keith Lee and Karrion Kross in the main event. That ought to be fun. We got the last chance qualifier for the North American title match coming up next Wednesday between Finn and the Dream. Again, shut up and take the money. I gotta be honest, I hope Finn does not win the North American title. I want him gunning for Keith Lee. We got the escalation between Adam Cole, Baby, and Pat McAfee. That's gonna be fun. So yeah, we got a lot of good stuff to look forward to. We got more AEW, we got more NXT. RJ should be back next week. All that good stuff. So until then, that's Brian, RJ somewhere. I'm Patrick. We will see you guys next week. This has been Wrestling with Egos, and until then, that's our story. And we're sticking to it. I'm going to bed.
It's only for the ballers. It's only for the ballers. New dance, gotta go walk. It's only for the ballers. It's only for the ballers. New